Hi and welcome to another lesson brought to you by Skype English School. My name's Anna, I'm going to be your teacher today, and for today's lesson we're going to be focusing on perfect pronunciation. And in particular we're going to be looking at words that end in ED. There are three different sounds for words that end in ED. And there are three rules we can follow to help figure out the sound. Rule 1. If a present tense verb ends with the sound of a voiced consonant or a vowel sound, the pronunciation in past tense is d. If the present tense verb ends with the sound of a voiceless consonant sound, the pronunciation in past tense is t. If the present tense verb ends with the sound of t or d, the pronunciation in past tense is always id. And it is important to note it's the ending sound, not the spelling, that determines pronunciation. So if we focus on the first sound, which is the d sound. Placement. The tip of the tongue is pressed against the upper gum ridge of the teeth ridge to stop the flow of air, and then the tip of the tongue is quickly dropped. Manner. Air is released as a puff of air that is not strong or aspirated. Voice. D is a voiced sound, and you can place a hand on your throat to feel the vibration. And some examples are loved, failed. And we've got some more examples of that d sound. Buzzed, amazed, grabbed, robbed, bugged, tagged, loved, craved, breathed, bathed, piled, failed, drummed, rained, pinned, judged. And next we're going to move on to the final ed sound of t. And the placement for this is produced in the same way as a d, with the tip of the tongue pressed against the upper gum ridge at the teeth ridge to stop the flow of air, and then the tip of the tongue is quickly dropped. Manner. Air is released with a strong puff of air. You can place your hand in front of your mouth to feel the puff of air. And it is a voiceless sound, there's no vibration. And some examples are finished, typed, stocked. And here are some more examples. Passed, placed, washed, wished, watched, matched, stopped, trapped, locked, packed, laughed, coughed, frothed. And next we're on to that final ed sound that sounds like id. And it is produced as a separate syllable, combining the I vowel sound with the d consonant, as in did. For the placement, the lips are relaxed, the tongue is high in the front of the mouth, the jaw is slightly open, then the tip of the tongue is pressed against the upper gum ridge and released quickly. Manner. Air is released as a puff of air that is not strong or aspirated. Voice. Id is a voiced sound, So you can place your hand on your throat to feel the vibration. And some examples are guided, treated, listed. And here's a reminder, id is an added syllable. And we've got some examples of that id sound. Waited, retreated, handed, ended, aged, learned, naked, ragged, rugged, wicked, wretched. And here we've got some sentences to try. She mailed the letter. They finished early. He deposited it. John listened. The boss talked. The team rested. The plumber repaired it. She stopped working. He waited. I finished late, so I called and ordered food for home. It tasted great. And here's some just for fun. Sally banged the black Packard into a taxicab. It was badly damaged by the crash. John started across the yard toward the barn. His father remarked calmly that he'd better not wander too far. Mr. Miller had climbed many mountains, but the bottomless chasm that he glimpsed dimly before him was the mightiest in his memory. And let's actually review what we've learnt today. We've learnt that the ed ending can be pronounced in 3 different ways. 2 are voiced, d and id, and 1 is unvoiced, t. And there are 3 rules to help us. And it's very important to note that it's the ending sound, not the spelling, that determines the pronunciation. And I hope you've enjoyed our first focus on perfect pronunciation, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching and listening, and learning, I hope.